Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to another Docsity webinar organized in partnership with the University of Essex Online. My name is Lucia from Docsity, and I'm very glad to have you today here. If you'd like, we see that the people is logging in. If you'd like, you can write on the chat where you're connecting from. In a couple of minutes, we will start with the presentation of this webinar, Impatient for a Change, study a 100% online course with the Essex Online University staff. Today we will have Esther Stevenson, Student Support Manager, Roxanne Lofthouse, Admission Advisor, Stephen Lipsey, Director of Learning Technology, who are going to talk us about the advantages of studying online, precisely with Essex Online University. So I see more people coming in. You can find on the Zoom menu down here, you will find the chat option. If you'd like to, you can share with us where you're connecting from. We might have people from many different countries. Yes, I see more people coming in. Thank you everyone for joining us tonight. And you're very welcome to be here with us today. This event is organized in partnership with University of Essex Online. The subject, the topic for today is Impatient for a Change, study 100% online course. And we will have with us presenting Esther Stevenson, Student Support Manager at Essex Online University, Roxanne Lofthouse, Admissions Advisor, and Stephen Lipsey, Director of Learning Technology. Okay. I see more people coming in. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Lucia. I'm presenting this webinar today, which is organized by Docsity in partnership with the University of Essex Online. I see we're quite a few tonight. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. We might start in a couple of minutes. As I was saying, the topic tonight will be study 100% online course. This is organized by Docsity in partnership with the University of Essex Online, and tonight we're going to have as speakers Esther Stevenson, Student Support Manager, Roxanne Lofthouse, Admissions Advisor, Stephen Lipsey, Director of Learning Technology. As I said before, you will find on the Zoom menu down here the chat where you can start writing, telling us where you're connecting from. If there's everyone interested about the certificate, you can send us an email requesting the certificate of attendance issued by Docsity by writing an email with your first, last name, and your email address to webinar@docsity.com. Okay, I see more people coming in. Thank you very much for joining us. Welcome. At the end of the presentation, we're going to have the Q&A section, the questions and answers section. Always on the Zoom menu down here, you will find the Q&A box where you can start writing your questions, which will be answered by the Essex Online staff at the end of the presentation. You might have some questions right away, or maybe some questions will rise up as we go on with the presentation and we start listening to all of our speakers. Okay, I see more people coming in. Thank you very much for joining. Thank you very much, everyone, for coming in today. So if you agree, if our speakers are ready to go, we can start with tonight's event, organized by Docsity in partnership with University of Essex Online, Impatient for a Change, study a 100% online course. And we will start right away. Our first speaker, if I'm not wrong, will be Roxanne Lofthouse, Admission Advisor at Essex Online University. Thank you very much, Roxanne. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So yes, this is the University of Essex Online. If you are interested in studying any undergraduate or postgraduate programs within these areas, then you may find this presentation helpful. We will cover the courses in more detail a bit later on in the presentation. So today's speakers is myself, admissions advisor. Then we've got Stephen, who's a director of learning technology. And then we have Esther, who is the student support manager, who you will hear from shortly. So the agenda for today's webinar is a short introduction to the University of Essex Online and who we are, a breakdown of some of the online degree programs that we offer, how students are able to actually study online and the support that you will receive during your study, as well as a breakdown of the admissions process and the next steps if you were looking to apply. And then we will end with some question and answers. So we are the University of Essex Online. We achieved last year an 88% student satisfaction, which was higher than a lot of the mainstream universities, which is something we are really proud of, because I think a lot of people associate campus-based study with more support, but actually we have ranked higher with just online study. So we are a top 30 university in the UK, and we also were awarded the Online Classroom Experience Award in 2021. So the way that our students learn is through our online learning platform called Moodle. We have been delivering online learning for just over 15 years now, so we are quite experienced in that area. And Stephen will be showing a demonstration of the learning platform in a little while. So all of our courses are studied 100% online, and they are part-time, so you can study when it's suitable for you. There is no set time that you actually need to study. So if you found studying in the evenings or weekends works better around your work, family, health commitments, anything, you can do it when you want to study. And although the programs are delivered 100% online, we do hold a physical graduation at the University of Essex campus, which is not compulsory to attend, but if you do want to attend that to celebrate you graduating with your family, we do have that physical graduation still. So as I said before, we deliver both undergraduate and postgraduate programs within these areas. So I'm just going to briefly touch upon each of them and explain a few courses that we do offer. So business is one of our most popular subject areas. We have both undergraduate and postgraduate programs relating to business. For our undergraduate, we have business and management, we have business and marketing, and we also have a business and management top-up program. Then for our postgraduate business programs, we have a Master of Business Management program. Then we also have more specific areas of business, such as business with finance, supply chain management and global logistics, and international human resource management. Then in the health category, we have one undergraduate program in healthcare management, but for postgraduate, we have international healthcare management, infection control, Master of Public Health. Then we have programs that are specific to jobs, such as our nursing master's program, as well as a new program we have released this year, which is the Global Mental Health and Wellbeing, which is quite relevant to these times. We also have just postgraduate programs within computing, which include data science, computer science, artificial intelligence, and cybersecurity. We then have undergraduate program in law. So we have a full LLB law with honours undergraduate program, as well as combined programs such as law with psychology or law with business. And we also have an international business law master's program. Then for criminology, we have a combined undergraduate program with law with criminology, as well as criminal psychology. So that links them too. and we have a postgraduate program, which is criminology and criminal psychology. Our programs in education are just postgraduate programs, and they are designed for students who are already within teaching roles who would like to further their career. And then lastly, we have the undergraduate psychology program, which is BPS approved. So that is approved by the British Psychology Society, as well as postgraduate programs in both psychology and organizational psychology. If anyone has any questions relating to any of these programs specifically, we will be going through the questions and answers at the end. But if you would like some more information relating to any specific course, please get in touch with the admissions team on the website and we will be happy to help. I will explain in a bit more about that. So I will now pass over to Stephen, who is going to show you a little bit of our virtual learning environment.
That's great. Thanks, Roxanne. I'm just going to share my screen now for this part of the presentation. So hopefully you can see my screen there. The purpose of this bit of the presentation is to give you a tour of the learning platform from the perspective of a student. So everything you see is from the student's perspective, and it'll hopefully give you an idea about what it's like to study our online programs. So first of all, I'm logged in as a student, and what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about how we set the platform up, and then I'll go into a module and show you some examples of some content and how you'll work through that content online, but also with your peers and the tutor that supports the module. So this is the course for the platform homepage. On the learning platform, it's important to note that you don't just get access to your course materials, you also get access to study skills support, and there's some career support in there. Perhaps you need some advice on how to reference or structure essays. We give you a whole support package to accompany your online programs. But it is a one-stop platform, so you can access everything through this platform you need to complete a program. So that could be your reading lists, the assignments, any content in the modules, feedback from your lecturers, grades, and so on. It's all through one central platform. And we make that environment hopefully nice and easy for students to use, and they can access the resources when and where they need it. So it's all responsive. You can access on your tablet, mobile phone, desktop. It'll respond depending on what device you're using to access the platform. So this demo student is tied to a number of modules, but I'll go in and show you one of our business modules, sustainable operations. It doesn't really matter which program you're studying. The demo is fairly generic. So although I'm showing a business module, the same principles and the same design applies to the other programs that Roxanne mentioned just earlier. So on the module homepage, we've got some introductory text. We've got some learning outcomes that the students can expect to complete over the next 6 weeks. And on the left-hand side, we've got some navigation. And I'll work through some of these pages now so you can see what it's like to work through the content. The first page to have a look at is the tutor office. So every module is supported by an academic lead, and that's the role of the tutor. The tutor is there to take any questions you might have about the content within the module. They'll obviously also provide feedback and grades on your assessment, but a really good support role for you to get the academic support that you need within that taught module. They have a really good SLA, so they will return emails within 24 hours during the week or 48 hours over the weekend, but also they'll provide feedback on your assignments within 7 days of the deadline. So once you submit your piece of work, you'll receive feedback and a grade within 7 days from your tutor. Now that's really important because as I move on to the next page, the deadline details page, you can see that we have a variety of assessment throughout the 6 weeks or throughout this particular module. And because you're constantly getting feedback from the tutor, you're getting support throughout the module. And the idea is that you can then apply that support to future assignments. So for example, in this module, there is an assess discussion forum that's due at the end of week 2. and you'll receive feedback on that assessment as you're working on the next discussion forum. So hopefully you can apply the feedback and develop your understanding of the material throughout the module. There's a variety of assessment methods that we use in the module. So it could be that we ask you to contribute to a discussion forum. It could be that you participate in some group work, whether that be, you know, preparing a presentation as a group and then delivering that to your fellow students. It might be something like a written report. There's a variety. The main thing is really we don't give you, you know, one big exam at the end of the module. We try and break that assessment up so you're constantly getting feedback and you have the opportunity to demonstrate your understanding throughout a module. And there's variety in how we ask you to do that as well. So it's a really important part of all our online programs. This module also has a series of seminars. In most modules, these are every other week. They might not be as frequent as every week, but this is a really good opportunity for you to meet your fellow students and your tutor in an online live environment. So we use Zoom for this. So you'll see you just get a link to your tutor's Zoom room and you'll meet at a set time. These sessions are completely optional. You don't have to attend the sessions, and you know, perhaps if you're at work or you have other commitments and you can't make them all, that's absolutely fine. We also record all these sessions, so if you can't attend, you can always listen back to the recording later on and catch up if you did want to attend that session but couldn't for whatever reason. So they're optional, but a really good opportunity to join your learning community in a live environment throughout the module. The next page is module resources. Really just to note on this page is that we provide you all the resources you'll need to complete the program. So we don't ask you to go away and buy anything extra in addition to the tuition fees. So we provide all the reading material. If you're perhaps doing a computing program, we'll direct you to the software that you might need to do the piece of programming or whatever it is that we're asking you to do. So we provide everything as part of the tuition fees. You really just need you know, a laptop or a desktop, internet connection, and then some kind of word processor to perhaps write your essays and so on. But we provide everything through the module, and we'll also direct you through those resources in the module at the right point in time as well, so you don't have to sort of scramble around and find things. This module has a journal tool, so this is where you'll be asked to reflect on your learning throughout the module. Not all modules have this, but it's a good opportunity for you to perhaps apply what you've learned in a taught module to your workplace setting. So you can apply the learning directly to your industry. Really good application of the learning, which is really popular among students. So that's the journal tool. Each module is supported by a core textbook. And what we do is we deliver this core textbook on another platform called VitalSource. And you'll see it's a single sign-on for the student. So all I've done is I clicked on the link to the textbook. And then the VitalSource textbook just provides me a bit more functionality on the text. So, for example, I can highlight sections of the book. I can make a note. I could download this book and view it offline. I could access on my laptop here, and then I could log in on my tablet and the same notes would appear across all my devices. I can search across all my books. It's a really nice ebook platform that delivers that core text that sort of forms the spine of the module. Students also have access to the University of Essex Online library, and that's where they would read around the subject. So on the library, there are hundreds of thousands of resources of journal articles, ebooks, conference papers. We curate those reading lists for you. So I'll show you that in a second. So we give you direction about what you should be reading each week. We break that up for you each week. But the online library, again, is another amazing resource you've got access to. I don't have time to show you that on this demo today, but just to say that you have access to those resources as well as part of your program. Okay, and now I'll go into a unit. So in unit 1 here, now a unit is just a week of study, really. So each unit represents a week. So this module is 6 weeks long. And every week there's a topic, there's some introductory text, and then I've got some activities to work through as a student. The first of which is a lecture cast. So I'll quickly go into this lecture cast and show you what this looks like. The lecture cast is our version of a traditional lecture. Now, instead of watching a video of a lecturer deliver an hour long, 2 hour long PowerPoint presentation. What we do is we break that content up into small pieces of media, and then in between those pieces of media, we give you little activities to do. So really it's designed specifically for online delivery, where we know this format is more suited to online rather than a traditional passive experience of watching a lecturer. This is an active learning experience of engaging with a lecturecast. It looks something like this. So again, we start with some learning outcomes for the lecturecast. And then we have a quote, a definition of operations management. And then as I work through the content, I've got a different format of media here. So I've got a piece of video. So I'll play the video. There's a voiceover going over the back here, which you probably can't hear on this Zoom call, but there's narration going over this video, explaining whatever the content is about. So this is an introduction to ops management. We would use animation. We might use stock footage. We might draw processes on the screen, annotate illustrations. It really depends on what the content's about for how we present it. The main thing is that we make this nice and clean for students. So it's sort of an enjoyable experience working through this content. But also you can see the length of the video is quite short. It's only 2-3 minutes. So I'd watch that piece of video and then continue through the content. On the next page here, we've got more of an interactive image. So this could be an interactive timeline, some kind of, in this example, some kind of Venn diagram. But then after each section or throughout the lecturecast at regular points, we then ask you just to check you've understood the content that's gone before. And these are the active learning components. So here, I've just got a multiple choice question, but it could be drag and drop. It could be fill in the blanks. There's a wide variety. This doesn't contribute to the overall grade for the module. It's just an opportunity for you to check you've understood the content that's gone before. If you don't get these right, that's fine. You'll get a piece of feedback and you can go back and try them again. But it's just a chance for you to engage with the content rather than just sit and watch a long video. We break that up and it's more of an active experience. And what you can also do then is, as a student, you might think, well, I've finished the first section. Now I'm going to just leave this. I'm going to come back to it later on and pick it up later on. Maybe I've got to go to work or do something with the family or whatever. So it's a bit more flexible in how we deliver the lecture content than perhaps a traditional lecture. So that's a lecturecast. If I go back to the module, the other activities in week 1 are some reading. So I'd watch the lecture, delivers the key concepts. I then read around that subject. So in week 1 here, we've got a reading list. So here we've got a chapter 1 from the core textbook, and then some journal articles, and I'd be directed to the library to access these resources. So really, I'm just reading around the subject now. And if I go back to week 1, the other activity this week, there are 2 actually. The other activity is a discussion forum. So here I'll go into the forum, and I've been given a case study to read. This is a case study about IKEA in this example, but it could be anything. So we give it a discussion prompt, then some instructions in how I should engage with the discussion. And then at the bottom here, you can see I would just add my discussion here, add my discussion post. This is actually an assessed discussion. So normally, if it's an assessed discussion, the first contribution might be maybe 200 words. But then over the duration of 2 weeks in this example, I'd also be graded for my responses to my peers. So this is actually quite a collaborative learning activity. So it lasts for 2 weeks. I can access this forum whenever I want over those 2 weeks. But it's a really good opportunity for me to learn with my classmates and the tutor, who will also engage with the discussion forum posts, to discuss the topic that forms the discussion prompt for that week. And then at the end of that 2 weeks, I'll get some feedback and a grade from my lecturer, my tutor, that I can then hopefully apply that feedback to the next discussion forum that might start, in this example, in week 3. So that's a discussion forum. And then the final activity in week 1 is the seminar. So here we've got another case study. This is a case of Euro Disney. So we're given something to read before the live session, and then there's a link to the seminar table where I can find the details of how to access that live session. Again, completely optional. If you can't make that, then the tutor would record it and post a link to the recording out by email. So you'll pick up the link to the recording shortly after the recording's happened. If you had any questions that you wanted to ask at those live seminars, but you couldn't attend, you can always send your lecturer an email to ask them a question. They can ask that question or respond to that question in the live seminar, and then you'll get the response via the recording. So you can still engage with those live sessions even if you can't attend. And then finally, I'll move on to week 2, and you can see there's a different topic. We've got a different lecture cast. There's some more reading to do this week. Actually, this week I'm being asked to reflect on the first 2 weeks, so I'm being asked to do a journal entry. But there's a variety of different activities that we'd ask students to complete. It could be that we ask you to form a group and put together a presentation, or perhaps start to work on your one of your assignments. Just depends on what the module is about for the type of activity we ask you to complete. But hopefully you can see it's quite a simple user interface for students to work through. Actually, the last thing I will mention just before we move on to student support is you might notice that we have a live chat widget here in the bottom right-hand corner. I mentioned before about some of the other support materials that form part of the online offering. So those are study skills, student services, those kind of services. But we also have live chat. So you could, if you were struggling with something on the platform, you could quickly load up live chat, and this links to our student support team. And you could say, look, I'm struggling, I don't know where the assignment question is. They could then instantly see your query, respond to your query, and you can get that support straight away. But I know Esther's going to talk about student support in more detail, so I won't go into too further detail there at this point. So hopefully that gives you a sense of the online student experience. I will stop sharing my screen and hand over to Esther, who should be able to continue the presentation.
Lovely, thanks Stephen, and thanks Roxanne. I think if we just move on. Yeah, perfect. Hi everyone. As mentioned at the beginning, my name's Esther and I'm one of the student support managers here for the University of Essex Online. So in this section I'm going to run through the kind of 4 main teams, the 4 main departments within student services that are here to provide support and guidance to you while studying online. So this will give you a real feel for the kind of support, and as Stephen's touched on there, the kind of range of services that you're still able to access even from a remote kind of distance learning environment. So I'm going to touch on kind of how these teams are structured, as well as a little bit about the sort of guidance you can expect to receive. So first of all, student support. So that's the team that I work in primarily. Now, the student support team are going to be one of your main points of contact throughout your studies. So the way that we work here at the University of Essex Online is following your admission to the course, you will be passed immediately over to the student support team, who will be absolutely thrilled to kind of welcome you to the programme and support you through those first few weeks. After that, we will provide you with more general kind of advice and guidance throughout the duration of your studies. As you can see on the slide, you do have a dedicated student support team for your programme. So, for example, should you be studying one of our health programmes, such as a Master of Public Health, you'd be supported by an actual team of advisors within that health student support team. So should you get in touch with us at any point, there's a whole team more than happy to help you with any kind of queries that you may have, and they'll be kind of dedicated to supporting students in that area. So we will have a little bit of insight into the programs that you're studying and the challenges that are specific to those. Now, the sort of advice that we're able to offer, we've mentioned 3 main areas here. So there's an absolute variety of questions, concerns that students can come to us with that we are always more than happy to look into, see what sort of help and advice we can provide. But to split it up, first of all, pastoral advice. So pastoral advice covers situations kind of outside of your studies that you may find are unfortunately affecting you, and you might feel that you need to come and disclose those to us. So that sort of support might look like, unfortunately being unable to meet a deadline or something similar. And actually on kind of coming to the student support team, we'd be able to provide advice and guidance on the policies and procedures that we have in place to support all our students. Moving on to technical, so kind of technical queries such as being unable to log into the learning platform and being unable to locate a resource. As kind of Stephen mentioned, you know, you have that instant connection to live chat there, which is primarily used for kind of quick queries, quick technical queries. Similarly, if there was some kind of more deeper struggles, you know, we'd be able to talk through those with you, you know, in terms of accessing the learning platform or any kind of issues that you're having in locating resources. We'd be more than happy to look into those with you. And then in terms of academic advice, this is more kind of geared towards the modules that you'll be studying. So the student support team are kind of here to provide kind of non-academic guidance in some ways. So we are more pastoral and we are more general. And the academic support, the deeper academic support will come from the leader of those modules, that module tutor. But the sort of academic things that we can help with is we are actually responsible for all your module scheduling. So any queries that you may have regarding upcoming modules, your optional modules, your preferences, we can update those for you. We can look forward to kind of look at what your studies is going to be looking like over the coming months, and any kind of questions that you may have on your academic preferences, as well as supporting you with the rules of assessment that we have for both our undergraduate and postgraduate courses. And essentially we'll be here to make sure that you're keeping in line with those rules of assessment, you're passing those modules, you're earning those credits and meeting the requirements to, at the end, achieving your award. So the student support team is contactable via phone. You are able to book a call with us. We have a call booking form, which allows us to kind of schedule a call at a time that suits you and talk through your concern in detail. You can also contact the teams via email and, of course, that live chat functionality for those super quick queries regarding the learning platform. The student support team is available from 8:30 in the morning UK time till 7 o'clock in the evening on Monday to Thursday, and on Fridays we're available from 8:30 in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening. The next team I'm going to discuss within Student Services is our Study Skills team. Now, our Study Skills team are absolute experts in kind of the skills that students are required to study at higher education. So we kind of have a study skills hub, as Stephen mentioned earlier, which provides an absolute wealth of resources on all kind of different types of academic skills. So that can include referencing, as we've got here, academic writing, assignment structure. It might be that you're feeling a little bit unconfident in some of these areas. It might be that you've received some feedback from your tutor suggesting that you could do a development in some of these areas, or it might be that you've been out of study for quite a long time and you're coming to study one of our courses and you feel like you need a little bit of a refresher in the best ways to structure your assignments in the correct kind of academic language to use. So they're the sorts of study tips and guidance that Study Skills can advise on. However, they're also here to advise on more general skills such as time management, and they even offer kind of bespoke one-to-one sessions and wider workshops. So what that means is if you have queries which you feel need to be explored in more detail, maybe you've found a particular challenge with a referencing style or a referencing system, you can actually book a one-to-one with one of our study skills advisors who will be able to kind of set up a session one-to-one with you and run through that with you in more detail. Our study skills team also provide kind of feedback sessions. So again, you can book a one-to-one bespoke session to discuss feedback that you've received if you need a little bit of assistance in interpreting that and setting some goals for yourself in terms of what you need to work on for your next assignment. They also offer wider workshops, and that relates to kind of workshops that are available to all students at the University of Essex Online, or maybe a larger kind of cohort of students. An example of those would be our dissertation support workshop, which is for students who are moving on to their final dissertation module. So the Study Skills team are contactable via phone also, as well as email, and they have those booking forms should you need a more bespoke one-to-one session, and they're available Monday to Friday from 8:30 in the morning until 5 o'clock in the evening UK time. The next team is student welfare. So the student welfare team is here to provide kind of more enhanced support. So any enhanced support that you may need to make the course and the programme that you're studying more accessible to you. So, for example, reasonable adjustments for disability. So this might be if you have a kind of declared disability or condition, the student welfare team will be here to provide adjustments and a reasonable adjustment plan for you to essentially, as I've said, make the course more accessible and to meet your needs. Any concerns that you may have regarding well-being, health, mental health, or support for, as I've said, disabilities or conditions, the student welfare team can provide you with resources and support in these areas. So we have a wealth of resources available to students within the student welfare section of our learning platform in terms of kind of third-party support and contacts, as well as the team, of course, being contactable for any kind of escalated concerns. Speaking of escalated concerns, we have designated safeguarding officers within the student welfare team, which are really important. Of course, one of our highest priorities is to ensure the safety and well-being of our students, and that doesn't change, you know, regardless of the fact that you're studying distance and online. It is our highest priority to make sure that you are well and you are safe. And as a result, we have our designated safeguarding officers who will always be here to assist should you have any escalated kind of well-being or safety concerns throughout your course. Now, finally, we have our student experience team. So the student experience team are responsible for a wide range of different areas. And their focus is on improving the learning experience, the learning journey of all our students across all our programs. So we've picked out here on this slide a few of the areas that the student experience team focuses on. First of all, the student experience kind of have oversight over our social forums. So we do have student forums set up on the learning platform, which are a more social space for students outside of their modules. So you can get to know each other socially and discuss kind of academic matters specific to your program, as well as we've recently set up some more kind of general just forums for different interests. So you can get to know each other and build a little bit of a learning community there for you online. Now, the Student Council, the Student Experience team do run our Student Council, which is, of course, a group of students who meet regularly with staff members. And alongside the Student Council, we have our module surveys, and those two areas are really key in terms of providing us with super valuable feedback from our students, which we can then take forward and implement. So of course, we're always looking at ways to kind of implement feedback and make positive changes for our students. The Student Experience team also provides some careers guidance. So they look after our resources regarding this, should it be something that you're interested in. We're aware that a lot of our students are sometimes professionals, but we do also have students who might be looking for a change of career, or we might have students that are at the undergraduate level and actually following completion of their degree, they are looking for some guidance in careers. So we do have a section within Student Experience team focused on providing guidance on careers. Should this be something you're interested in, perhaps as you're coming towards the end of your program. And then finally, very exciting, our Student Experience team plan our graduation ceremony. I know Roxanne mentioned this earlier in the presentation, but on completion of an award with us, you will be invited to attend our graduation ceremony, which is hosted every year in the summer at the moment at the University of Essex kind of campus. And it's there to celebrate the success of all our kind of wonderful graduates, all our students who have completed their award. And the Student Experience team not only planned that, but they also are there to provide support kind of around the time of the graduation ceremony. So, for example, if you've been invited to attend and you need some support in terms of the ticketing system and travelling from abroad and things like that, the Student Experience team is there to help. Lovely. So I think that's it from my side. So I've just covered, again, just a very brief overview of all the teams that are here to support you throughout your studies with us at the University of Essex Online. And I really hope that's given you a little bit of a taste of the support that's available. And I hope you found that helpful. I'm now going to pass back over to Roxanne, who's going to move on regarding the admissions process.
Thank you, Esther. So yes, now it comes to the admissions process, which I think a lot of students can find quite daunting. So just to give a little bit of an idea of how it runs, when you make an inquiry on our website about one of our courses, this gets sent straight through to a specific admissions advisor. So from your first point of contact, you will deal with one admissions advisor until the day you're enrolled, and we pass you on to student support. So we can, prior to you making an application, give some sort of guidance on what is required for your application, which I will be going through shortly. But we're here to support you and put you at ease to make sure that the process is as smooth as possible, as we don't want the daunting, scary university application thing anymore. So when you make an application, that will then go directly to that admissions advisor too, and there is no application fee, so it is 100% free to apply. Once you have worked with your admissions advisor to ensure that all of the documents you have are uploaded onto your application and it's ready to go, it is then reviewed by the admission staff and academic heads. So the admissions advisor will let you know when they have put that application forward for review. We usually have a turnaround of your application within 48 hours. And at that point, the admissions advisor will give you a call to let you know whether you've been successful or not, and offer any guidance if you have not been successful and on other courses that we may offer. Then from there, you will receive your official offer letter, and the only two things you would need to do then are accept your place and pay the deposit payment. So it is a relatively short process. We try to keep it as personal as possible, so you only have one contact to go to rather than being passed from one person to another. So for the entry requirements for our programs, I'll just cover the undergraduate programs first and then move on to postgraduate. So for the undergraduate programs, we actually have 3 entry routes onto the program. So the first one would be if you are applying for a full bachelor's degree. It's required to have 3 A-levels or equivalent. So for any of our international students, if you're unsure whether the qualifications you have obtained are equivalent to 3 A-levels, we in the admissions team during your application can advise, as we use a global comparison site that compares all your global qualifications. So it's 3 A-levels or equivalent, or for our undergraduate business programs, it's 2 A-levels. If you have not obtained A-levels or qualifications that are equivalent, we do have a work experience route. So again, I will touch on this in a short while, but we do request a copy of your up-to-date CV for your application. So if you don't meet the academic entry route, if you have 3 years of relevant work experience that is relative to the program that you have applied for, you may still be eligible through the work experience route, as we do believe that for students who have worked within the environment, they shouldn't be not given a chance to study a bachelor's program based on their previous academic sort of journey. So we have that option. If you do not meet the entry requirements, either academically or work experience, for the majority of our undergraduate programs, we do have the Certificate of Higher Education option. So I will use psychology as an example. We have the full psychology bachelor's program, which has an indicative time study period of 4 years. Our certificate of higher education is 16 months in length, and it's identical to the first 16 months of the full psychology programme. The certificate of higher education is the first 120 credits. At the end of that, you can either take the certificate of higher education qualification, as it is a level 4 qualification recognised on its own, or you will be given the option to progress onto the rest of the bachelor's if you have passed all of your previous modules. So this is a great entry route for students who really want to enter higher education but haven't had the previous academic qualifications to do so. This gives them a chance to get a feel for what higher education entails and then progress onto the bachelor's. So your end goal can be the same. If English is not your first language, we do accept an IELTS if it has been completed in the past 2 years with an overall score of 6 or above. If you haven't got an IELTS, we do offer a free online English test during the application phase that you can take to support your application. Then moving on to our postgraduate programs, it works a little bit differently to undergraduate as we do not have an open entry route for these programs. It is either the academic or work experience. So for the postgraduate programs, we require a bachelor's honours degree, which can be any classification or equivalent. So depending on where you've studied, if you have the equivalent of bachelor's with honours in the UK, then you meet the academic entry route for the programme. If not, we also look at work experience for our postgraduate programmes, which does vary based on course length. So it depends if you're looking to study one of the computing postgraduate programs, for example, we look for a minimum of 3 years work experience. For our management business type postgraduate programs, we look for 5. So it's important to note here that you do not need to satisfy both routes. It's either the academic or the work experience route there. Again, if English is not your first language, with the postgraduate programs, if you have studied a bachelor's degree in English, then we can also accept that as English proficiency, as long as we see on an official transcript or a letter by your previous university that the course was delivered in English, we can use that. If not, it's the IELTS again in the past 2 years with a 6.5 overall score or above. Or again, if you don't have these, we do offer the free online English test during the application stage. So on to tuition fees. These on the left, you'll see these are our undergraduate programs, and on the right, it's postgraduate. So I'll quickly touch upon them. The Certificate of Higher Education, which was the 16-month undergraduate programs, is £6,167. Your full bachelor's or LLBs are £18,500. And then we also have a business and management top-up program, which is 16 months in length. So again, £6,167. It's important to note that if you do progress from a Certificate of Higher Education to a full bachelor's program, the cost of the Certificate of Higher Education will be taken off the cost of the bachelor's. Then on the right, we have CPD micro-credentials. So this is something that we have recently introduced, and these are short modules that are in some of our postgraduate programs. So we have one for computing, and it's a singular module. From that, if you complete that module, then you are eligible to go on to our postgraduate programs. So that's the micro-credentials, and it's important to note that they have to be paid upfront. Then we have the postgraduate certificate, your postgraduate diploma, and the master's. So essentially, the postgraduate certificate is an 8-month program, your postgraduate diploma is a 16-month, and the master's is 2 years. You can progress from one to another, as we do offer a postgraduate certificate, diploma and masters in all of our subject areas. And again, the cost can be taken off if you do progress. There are some countries where sales tax may be applicable, such as Dubai or Singapore. So that is also something to note. But other than that, these prices are all inclusive. So as Stephen said earlier, that you don't pay anything additional on top of that. It is all together. With the payment methods, we do offer some discounts and scholarships. So if you are a student based in the UK, you may be eligible for student loan tuition fee funding. Our admissions advisors are more than happy to go through questions you may have on that and advise where we can, as student finance do have their own eligibility criteria to meet. For our programs, you can either pay upfront and receive a 5% discount, or you can pay per month. Again, the admissions team can detail exactly what those prices are if you were to inquire about the program. If you have previously studied at either the University of Essex or the University of Essex Online for your undergraduate program and wish to continue on to do a postgraduate, you would receive a 10% discount for that. And at the moment, we are offering quite a few different scholarships internationally, which are based on residency of a student. So these can range from 5 to 20%. If you want to inquire whether you would be eligible for a scholarship, again, please get in touch with the admissions team and they'll be more than happy to help. Lastly, as making quite a big financial commitment towards your education can be quite daunting, we do offer a 21-day money-back guarantee. So we require the monthly deposit payment from you prior to you starting your studies. But if within the first 3 weeks you find that the program isn't for you, you can withdraw and you would receive a refund whether you've paid upfront or monthly. Lastly, if you would like to make an application, I'll just go through some documents that we do require. So firstly, it would be an official form of ID. So that would either be a passport, driving license, or government issued identification. It needs to have your full name, date of birth, and it needs to be within date. Copies of any educational certificates that you have. If you are unsure whether some of your educational certificates may be relevant, we always advise to submit everything so we can have a look through and find your eligibility if we can. We also ask for a copy of your CV, just in case you're looking at going down the work experience route, and it's, as most of our students do work full-time, it's nice to see sort of what they've done and where they're sort of planning to go. And then lastly, the personal statement, which again, I think quite a few students find quite daunting, but this is just a personal statement, which needs to be between 300 and 500 words, just explaining why you want to study the program, any experience that you may have in that subject area, how you plan on using the qualification, and why you want to study online. So usually when you get writing about that, you can get to 300 words quite quickly. During the application process, you will have constant contact with the admissions advisor who has been assigned to you. So if they do need any additional documents, we may request them at a later date. If you would like to make an application, the link is there. And again, our admissions advisors will then be in touch with any questions that you have. We also have a live chat function that you can use on the website that sends you straight through to an admissions advisor if you have any quick questions that you want to ask. So that was the presentation. If anyone has any questions.
Thank you very much, Roxanne. Thank you very much, Esther and Stephen. We actually do have some questions already. We had quite a few about scholarships, but I guess you pretty much cover all of that. I don't know if there's anything else, any specific thing we could add, since there were questions about also scholarships for international students in particular, and the requirements for the MPH scholarship available. I don't know if there's something else to add about that.
Yeah, so our scholarships are purely based on residency. You wouldn't need to fill out an additional application or anything. It is based on the country that you reside in. Again, because there's so many countries, it's hard to sort of list them off during this question and answer. But if you do make an inquiry through the website, an admissions advisor will be in touch within 48 hours and let you know what scholarships are available to you.
Okay, thank you very much about that. We have another question asking about if you have any job placement statistics of your alumni.
That's not data that I have to my fingertips, so maybe that we need to come back to that one. I think, as Roxanne said in the call, a lot of our students are already in employment, so actually you'd be joining a student community with lots of students from all sorts of different backgrounds, and we often find that students do network and are able to progress their careers simply by being part of that community. But I don't have specific data on that in front of us right now, unfortunately. Okay,
Stephen, thank you very much about your answer. We have another question. What is the most important thing about the university that you would like to share with your students, or rather, what is your goal?
I could try and take that one. I saw that question come through, and a couple of things came to mind. And the first is actually we have an open access route to these programs, so we're able to make access to higher education more open to students who perhaps don't have a traditional academic background, but do have a professional background or have experience that's relevant to that program. So we're able to offer these programs to students who wouldn't necessarily take a master's or an undergrad program. So it's more of an open access. And then secondly, you do become part of this online community of students all over the world, which is sort of unique to online, or it's certainly an advantage of online learning in that you can work alongside fellow students, colleagues who are in all sorts of different industries, people who work for NASA, Google, all these amazing companies all over the world, and you can learn from each other, from different cultures and backgrounds and all sorts, and that is a really strong component of the program that just comes from our online student community by having online students really by default. And then the third element, sorry to go on, is that we design these programs specifically for online delivery, and I've always done that. And I think it was Esther or Roxanne mentioned earlier that we've been doing this for just over 15 years, and that's allowed us to design, the learning environment, the learning resources, the student support. All those services are tailored specifically to help students study online from all over the world. So I think that experience and that goal for us really separates us from other providers who perhaps deliver these courses on campus and also deliver them online. We just do online at the University of Essex Online, and the programs are delivered and built specifically for that mode. So I think that's a kind of a strong point of the organisation.
Thank you very much, Stephen. It's nice to hear someone so passionate about what they do. I think this tells a lot about the whole Essex Online University project. And I think that what you were saying also answers a little bit the previous question about the job placement, because the fact that you're mentioning some Essex Online alumni working in these different important institutions also talks a lot about the quality of the education at Essex Online. So we have another question asking, if I'm Mexican, would the classes be different for me? I guess this participant means if the lessons are different based on the country or the area, or they're all the same for everyone.
They're not different based on region. No, the programs are the same. But again, if students bring their own take on the content from their region or from their cultural and professional backgrounds. So the content and the format is the same for all students, but students are very welcome to bring in their local context to the program, and that only makes it better. So no, the classes are the same, but each time you take a class, you might be with different students, and again, you get access, therefore, to students from all sorts of backgrounds.
Of course, thank you very much. We have another question. When would admissions for LLM start, and yeah, what is the program start date?
Our next start date for the LLM International Business Law Programme is the 10th of January 2023. If you are looking to submit an application, I would say the deadline would be at least 2 weeks before the start date, just to ensure that we can get everything in place for you to start if you were to be successful.
Okay, thank you very much, Roxanne. We have just one last question. Can I get the link for the campus portal, please?
I'm not sure whether that whether Moses means a link to the website where they can find more information about the programs, and I think that might have been on a slide previously. You would get access to the learning platform, the platform that I showed earlier, once you've enrolled on the program.
Of course.
But you can access. There are some taster courses on the website, and that's where you can really find all the information before you enroll.
Okay, thank you very much, Stephen. Earlier, the speaker shared with me a link to contact the admissions team here. I'm putting it now on the chat for everyone. So if you have any further questions that we didn't have the time to answer, we apologize about that, but you can access directly to the admissions team by the link I just shared on the chat. Or maybe when you remember about this wonderful presentation, some other question will come up. Of course, you're welcome to go to the link and contact the university. Okay, and then we have the University of Essex Online. Okay, about their degrees. So, okay, let me just share it real quick with everyone. Here on the chat, we will find all the links to gather all the information. And as I previously said, whoever is interested about the certificate of attendance issued by Docsity, you have to send an email request to webinar@docsity.com, putting your first and last name and the email address you use to register for this presentation. I don't know if the speakers have anything else to add before we end this presentation.
Nothing from me. Nope.
Okay, so the only thing left is to thank you all for attending, for joining us tonight to this event organized by Docsity in partnership with Essex Online University. Thank you very much, Roxanne, Stephen, and Esther for this very interesting presentation tonight. Really hope to see you again, putting your inquiries out there for Essex Online University, and we really hope to see you soon in the next Docsity. Thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.